Trainerware is all about delivering information to your audience. Without testing their understanding, you won't know if they have learned what you're trying to teach. Without some form of external motivation, your students will be resistant to putting in the effort required to fully understand the subject. Trainerware recognizes this by providing a full-featured examination system to give you the proof that students have studied and learned. Coupled with a certification element, your students will be motivated to study and pass the exams, so they have a certificate that they can display to their peers when searching for a pay raise or promotion, display to their contemporaries when seeking respect and acceptance, or to display to their customers when making a sale by demonstrating they are qualified to sell them the product or service. Creating an exam in the Trainerware system is as easy as creating a course. This short presentation will show you the step-by-step process of creating a pool of questions for use in this and future exams, creating the exam, and finally selecting questions from the pool and adding them to the exam. Having logged into your Trainerware system using a Flash-enabled web browser, select the Manage Courses option from the Courses drop-down to open the course catalogue. Click on the course ID for the course that you wish to create an exam for. And in the Exam System section, choose Add Questions to the database. Select the type of question you want to create: true, false, multiple choice or essay. Let's take a look at multiple choice questions first. From the drop-down menu on the right, select which category you wish the question to be added to, or enter a new category by typing it directly into the category field. In the editor window, enter the question. Be careful not to be vague, as you'll be giving the student a selection of answers to choose from, and there must only be one correct answer. As you can see, the question editor is a feature-rich editing tool. Your question can be a simple piece of text asking a question, or you can go as far as showing an embedded Flash video or play a sound file and ask a question based on what they have seen or heard. You can also embed PDF or Microsoft Word documents, use tables to format the display of your questions, then insert rows and columns into your table as you create your question. If you have created a long passage of text, you can search and replace words, create paragraphs, add dividing lines, set font sizes and types, and many other features that you would find in a complex word processing or web page editing program. The fact of the matter is, the question is part of a web page, and as such, if you have the skill and inclination, you can even edit the raw code yourself to create an even more complex question. At any time during the question creation process, you can click on this button and see a preview of how your students will see the question. And if you need to, you can even expand the editing area to full screen and zoom in for a closer look. If you do switch to full screen, don't forget you will need to switch back to normal view before you can access the rest of the question creation page. Now that you've created the question, you need to provide the student with up to 6 possible answers to choose from, only one of which can be correct. Set the radio button next to the correct answer. If you are going to allow your student to review their answers after an exam, enter some more information here if you wish, maybe an excerpt from the course that taught the student about the question being asked. And finally, if you wish to make this question available to other courses, set the checkbox. Check your spelling and punctuation. Be sure there is only one correct answer to the question and that you have set the button next to it. Then click Save to save the question and go to the exams page. Click on Add Questions to the database again and repeat this until you have built a suitable pool of questions for your exam. True-false questions are created in the same way, but this time you enter a statement for the student to read. They must then decide whether the statement is correct or incorrect. Again, select the category from the drop-down, or create a new category by entering it in the field. Create your question in the editor. Set the correct radio button for true or false. Enter the feedback information and select whether to make the question available to other courses. And finally, check the page over and click Save to add the question to your database. Now that we have created a pool of questions to draw from, it's time to create the exam. The first step is to create an empty container, after which the questions will be added to create the complete exam. From the course instructor's control panel, double check that you have the correct course open, select the exam system section and click Create New Exam to display the setup page. Enter a suitably descriptive name for the exam in Exam Name. If this exam is only going to run for a limited time, or for that matter start or end on a particular date, check the appropriate checkboxes and, using the calendar, select the correct date. The next option to set is the time limit. If you wish to restrict the amount of time your student is permitted to spend on the exam, enter it here. This is in minutes, so a 2-hour exam would be set to 120 minutes. The passing score is the minimum percentage of correct answers required for the student to qualify for a passing score and earn a certificate, if you have made this a certifiable exam. Some exams are best suited to being displayed one question at a time, while others are best suited to being displayed with a number of questions on the page. You are free to choose this by entering the number of questions that will be displayed on each page of the exam. Just like a paper exam, the student will turn the page by clicking Next when they have answered all of the questions on the current page. Explain how to take the exam in the instructions box. This information will be displayed on the opening page of the exam. You should mention what the exam is about. For example, this exam will test your understanding of the transmission component of this course. Or, this is your final exam and you will be tested on your understanding of all modules of this course. You should also explain how to take the course. Something like, a series of questions will be displayed. Multiple choice questions will display a question and up to 6 possible answers, only one of which will be completely correct. You must select the correct answer by clicking on the button next to it. A true-false question is a statement. You must decide if it is a true statement by clicking the button next to true or false. Email student and email instructor when complete will cause Trainerware to send an email message to the instructor informing them that the student has taken the exam and their score, and the student congratulating them or encouraging them to study the course again and retake the exam. These messages are set in the 2 boxes below. If you wish to set either or both of these options, check the appropriate checkboxes and enter the messages that you would like to send to the student when they complete the exam. In many cases, it is important that a student understands Part A before they study Part B. Trainerware allows you to create interim or chapter exams that can be inserted at suitable stages in the course. If you wish to prevent your students from having access to course materials past an exam point until they've passed this exam, set the compulsory exam checkbox and Trainerware will lock the content past this point. When you select the questions for your exam later on, you will choose from and build a static list. You may prefer to make the exam more interesting and challenging, especially if you allow retakes, by shuffling the order in which the questions are displayed. Each time the student takes the exam, the questions are displayed in a different order, making it harder to memorize the answers for an easy pass. If your students are allowed to keep taking the exam until they pass, or you wish to set a number of times they can sit the exam, enter the number of retakes allowed. For unlimited attempts, leave the field set to 0. You may be a busy person and may need to create the exam, go off and deal with a distraction, then return later and add a few more questions at your leisure. Leaving the exam inactive by clearing the Make Exam Active checkbox will allow you to create the exam in this way without someone getting in halfway through, then taking and passing an exam with only 1 or 2 questions in it. The next part of creating an exam is building a pool of questions that the exam will draw from. For example, you may create 100 questions in your pool, but only want an exam with 10 questions in it. By setting this checkbox, your exam will randomly select 10 questions from the pool of 100 each time. You have a few choices now to make regarding what happens after your student has completed the exam. If you have checked any of these boxes, the student will be able to view their completed content with Show Correct Answers, displaying all of the questions that the student answered correctly, Reviewing Correct Answers, displaying the questions the student answered incorrectly, and Review Correct Questions, displaying all questions answered correctly by the student. Of course, showing the student correct and incorrect answers will make retaking the exam that much easier. It all depends on your particular situation on how you set these options. And that's the next step over with. Review the information and settings, then click Create Exam to save your new exam and open the question selection window. This page displays questions for you to add to the exam. The first section allows you to refine the questions that are displayed by clicking on the appropriate radio button. Questions selected in this exam will only display questions that you have already added to the exam. At this point the list will be empty, but when you come back here in the future, it will allow you to quickly see which questions are currently in the exam and you can add or remove them. When you created your questions, you selected which course to assign the question to. The question from this course only will filter the display to show only the questions that have been assigned to this course. Useful if you are creating many varied courses and want to filter questions from the display that would be completely inappropriate for addition to this exam. The last option, Question from Other Course, will display all of the available questions in your database, allowing you to select them for inclusion in this exam. You may have a situation where a number of courses, while separate from each other, may have a central final exam and you wish to draw from the entire collection of related questions. The category drop-down allows you to select which category of questions you would like to display. Again, you assigned questions to a category during their creation process. The display drop-down allows you to select how many questions are displayed on the page for you to select from. This is not the number of questions to be displayed on the exam page, just a way for you to display more or less questions on this page. The final display filtering option is to choose the question type that you wish to select from: multiple choice, true, false, or essay. The top right hand corner will display current information regarding the number of each type of question that has already been added to the exam. Once you have set your display options, scroll down the screen to view the questions that are available for selection. When you see a question that you would like to add, click Add Question to add it to the exam. As you add questions to the exam, the summary will be automatically updated. So if you wish to create an exam with, for example, 100 questions, you will know when you have finished adding them. And that is all there is to creating an examination ready for inclusion in your courses. When you edit a course, a drop-down will allow you to select the examination and add a Start Exam button to your pages.